You're watching a TGM production. Hello! On this week's Take Two, the Film Club, I, Tom Mason, will be reviewing Sunlight that just came out on Amazon Prime Video. Sunlight stars Nina Conti, of all people. She is a ventriloquist and comedian, best known for piloting her trusty companion, the one and only Monkey. Now, what's fascinating about this film is that it seems heavily American, filmed in New Mexico, but at the same time, it was gorgeous. I've just literally finished watching it. I've just closed down the iPad. I've pressed record because I set everything up because I knew that I was really close to the end of that. So I was setting everything up. So we're all ready just to press record on this review. Now, when I first heard about this film, I thought, that sounds rather interesting. I'm not too sure how I feel about it, right? And I was thinking to myself, okay. I saw the trailer and thought, wow, that's it. That looks incredible. And then I watched Richard Herring review Nina Conti, talking about the film. And I can tell you this now, the film has got to be my favourite film of this year. Even though it came out last year, could it win an Oscar? Could it be justified for an Oscar? No, because I think it's too reliant on comedy, and comedy never goes anywhere at the Oscars. So, which to me, that never actually makes any sense at all. Why the Oscars don't sort of pick up on comedy, right? And you sort of think to yourself, well, why do they not do that? There must be several questions to ask that, but that's another question for another day. Now, Sunlight was... It was an interesting film. There's a lot of ventriloquists out there, especially in the UK circuit, that have characters that, in my opinion, sort of fit this sort of scenario quite well, to a sense that if you really look into it. So, I was thinking about this when I was watching it, and I was thinking, well, if I had to remake this film with any ventriloquist, where their character is so synonymous with them to a sense of, if you remove the person, that character still stands up. That shows how incredibly well geniused the performer is Max Fulham. Now, Max Fulham has a monkey character, so I think if we had to recast this film and just swap out Nina Conti and her monkey character and put in Max Fulham and his monkey character, yes, the dynamic wouldn't be the same. You would swap out the male driver for a female driver, really, in this scenario, if you want to keep it as close to the original as possible. But I think that could work, because the concept of the film is such a good one. So it's... How do I describe this? Well, I would describe the film as a rom-com. A rom-com, but heavily implied on the tremendous comedy. My favourite moments of all the film is any of the moments where she's dressed as a monkey, because I think Monkey is such an incredible character generally, right? So I've been a fan of Nina Conti for years, right? And I think that the voice she does for Monkey is really interesting, because it's a sort of not aligned with what you would expect, sort of a voice range when you're not moving your lips like that, right? If you don't do your lips, I try to do that. I do my tongue underneath, right? And that doesn't work. So if I attempt to do the ventriloquism technique, and it's hard to do other voices. Now, proper ventriloquists can do that, right? And so having that voice front and center without needing the ventriloquist is genius, right? And I thought that if there's any prop you want to take from this film, if there's anything you want, if Nina Conti should do going forward, right? Yes, stick to her act that she does on stage. Yes, fine, well done, excellent, yeah. But get the monkey costume and do something with it, because that is what I think is the cat. I think that's the greatest bit of this film. The other character, Ray or Roy, I think he is called. They don't say his name enough, but Roy, and obviously Nina Conti's character's Monkey, but the character that the human she's playing is Jane, and I think that Roy is the sort of glue, if you will. So if you have Monkey on its own and you have Nina Conti on her own, yes, that would be a great film. But I do think the dynamic between them is incredible. Why is it heavily Americanized? I don't know. I can sort of, even though she's British, and I feel like I'm proud that the British industry's got to this level, right? I do think we could have made this more British made, like the Ballad of Wallace Island, so that it had more of a British feel to it, because it's an incredible film, both The Ballad of Wallace Island and Sunlight. I didn't know what a pontoon was, and I'm still not 100% sure I do know what a pontoon is, but from this film, I now need to go on Google what a pontoon is, just to make sure that what's at the end is a pontoon. Because I thought pontoon was like sort of canal boat yacht situation. But what is my favourite moment of this film? Instead of skirting around it, it's such an incredible film. It came out today on Amazon Prime. I didn't even know. On Apple, you can do the thing where you add something to a watch list, where if you want to watch it, but you are considering purchasing it, get on the watch list. But what's happened was it does that sometimes. I've never seen this happen before, but it'll now tell you when it becomes available on a streaming service, say now available, and you press on it and it'll open it on whatever streaming service you're at. So I didn't know it was coming out on Amazon Prime today, but I found out and I watched it, and my jaw is all the way on the floor. My jaw's on the floor. That's how brilliant this film is. My jaw is on the floor, right? I am at a loss of words to say how gorgeous, how beautiful this film is. Right? My favourite moment, I think. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of great moments, but I do think that it must be the moment where she's like, we need to stop off. I'm gonna have a wee. Don't look at this bush for a while. I will be a while. It might look like I'm having a poo, but don't look. And that is that was like hilarious because it was a sense of like, you know that it is just a woman in a mascot costume, which is what it would have been if it wasn't Nina Conti. That would have been a mascot costume, like the wolf that Ray puts on. Roy puts on towards the back end of the film. I think that having it as a full body puppet, which is what it is, and you know that it's a full body puppet because Paddington Bear on stage isn't a costume. That's a full body puppet because the mouth has its movements, and I think that creates sort of a better sense. And because in the hand, according to Nina Conti in the film, is controlled, it means that what you get is a full body puppet, right? And again, that is still not a bad thing at all, because that's what you want. Because I'm a fan of puppetry, so I can sort of gather what's supposed to be the best way to do it. Sorry about the lighting. the lights have died. They might turn back on halfway through this review. I thought that would help, but it didn't. So, having it as a full body puppet sort of develops the character and develops the concept, I think, a lot more. So, it's sort of hard to describe without spoiling it too much. But what makes this a great film is it's not just a buddy. It's not just a buddy driving film where, oh, we're driving, oh, we're gonna die, we're driving, oh, we're gonna. There's a premise. So she wants to get away from her stepfather. He wants to find his mother. There is some mature and adult themes in this film, so it's not for kids. It's a mature, I would say, probably 15, 16 onwards. I'm not going to mention any of the mature films, but if you look online, there will be help and support out there for any of the issues raised in this film. Not this film, but in Sunlight. Because there's some really, really dark, heavy topics. But I'm not going to talk about them, but I'm going to skirt around them so that we can... Because this is a family-friendly review, I'm going to skirt around some of the more adult and more graphic themes. So I'm just going to like abbreviate some of the points. So we've got... She's trying to walk away from her stepfather and trying to prove that she's fine. He's trying to get a letter back before his mother sees it. Then he's trying to dig up his father, and she's then trying to swim in this lake. Now, at the beginning, when I was watching it, I felt like it sort of rushed. I thought, well, what are you going to do for the rest of the film? Because all those tasks that were being asked and aimed were completed within the first 20 or so minutes. The film's an hour-ish. But that's what needs to be. That I would have thought, oh, this is terrible. No. I hate this film, no. But the second half sort of fixes it, right? Because you think, well, what's going to happen next? Well, what does happen next, right, and this is a major spoiler, is a romantic relationship between Jane and Roy. He's not called Roy at all, Ray. He's called Ray, sorry. You get together, and you get that, like, not like together, but the like sort of like kindle more of the, he's less freaked out of the situation because he's been kidnapped and it is, I'm gonna call it a motorhome. Americans will call it an RV. I'm not too sure what it really is, but you sort of get this feeling, right, that a lot's happening. So he's been kidnapped in this RV, and she's driving it, and that is incredible because for a moment you can say, what? It's like a fever dream. You're a monkey. And really, it's what you expect. And it makes me think, oh, what are we going to do next? Will there be a sequel? No. Should there be a TV series of this? No. But will I want to see more of Monkey in this costume? Yes. I want more development projects with that character. Because, obviously, she does a lot with the puppet monkey, right? That's on her arm in a bag and whatnot. But I want to see full-size Monkey in more projects. I want to see full-size Monkey appear in QI or When I Lie to You or 8 out of 10 Cancelled Countdown. Any of those. But Nina Conti just smashes it out of the park. If it was eligible, I would have given it a BAFTA. If it was eligible, I would have given it an Oscar, a Golden Globe. Anything I can throw at it, I would have given it. But because I don't think it's promoted as, I think it's more of a, like an indie film, if you will. I don't know if it's eligible for awards. It deserves all the awards it gets. So, to get more to the point, I think that Jane is a fascinating character because you get the insight feeling of who she is as a woman, why she's trapped in this monkey costume, a monkey puppet, I'm going to call it, and what makes her feel the way she's feeling and why is it so important. And that's what enhances this story. It enhances it because when you get the moment where Ray takes the costume to be washed in the laundrette, I'm going to use that term, she's having this shower, and and the way it's filmed is that it's filmed in a sense of it's not getting after the shower scene, if you will. It's trying to find what the emotion is on that character. So having close-ups of the face, having her stepfather turn up because he cycled there, having the insecurity that she feels that she doesn't know who she is without the monkey costume. So, in a sense of she's worried that Ray will not like her without the monkey costume, and it is fascinating because it's the angle of a character that I don't think I've seen before in that type of film, and the more you develop that feeling and the more you sort of follow along with it, you get to a point where you're going, actually, this is not just a rom-com or love story. This is not a Notting Hill. This is not a Hugh Grant thing. This is its own concoction of immersive, incredible, and you get taken along on this journey. And I do think there is something that made me think, would you really, why would you do that? Would it not be uncomfortable? It's a bit where she tries, where she gets given the bed in the RV, she tries to go to sleep, and he says, are you going to sleep in that costume? And she's like, well, yeah, I'm going to try. And it's like, I don't know what the weather's like in New Mexico. What a British thing to say. I've asked about the weather. Huh. I don't know what the weather's like in New Mexico, or pretty much at that time of filming, but when they do Christmas filmings in summer and they're wearing woolly jumpers and they're roasting, I'm assuming she was roasted as well. I don't know what it was made out of. Hopefully it was made out of similar material to the actual puppet itself. Now, I don't think this film would ever get the critical acclaim without Nina Conti being such an incredible performer before this film, right? And being an incredible comedian. But if you, I'm gonna try and listen to some podcasts where they're on today because I just want to hear more about her sort of a journey to this film. If there's enough recent podcasts about that, but I think that having her insecurities and having her feeling that she's not the same without the costume is incredible. And I think a lot of performers that do character comedy, like Steve Coogan, like Alex Lowe, like myself, I think, and not me personally, but I think that the feeling for the others would be similar, that they might not feel as adequate when they're themselves, when they're with the character. So I think if you're a character comedian, I'm mainly giving 2 examples of British one, 3 examples, including me, but in general, I think that's what might resonate with the audience here. I think it might resonate with an audience that feel a connection, this character comedic audience, and feel a connection. Even though ventriloquism is her day job, it's just the way the character is portrayed is what I'm getting at. And I think that it'll represent to them their feeling. I don't personally feel like that. That's not my feeling, but there'll be a connection, and you'll sort of get that feeling and understand what's going on. I think that should make it more relatable and more incredible. And no matter, you can't knock this film. It does everything it needs to do. It's beautiful scenery. It's beautiful weather, and I just think it encapsulates what it means to be this sort of immersive film. I personally, and I'll be honest, as we get towards the end of this review, I'm going to just give my round up thoughts here. I think that this film is wonderful. It's incredible. It's outrageous. And it's fun. It's worth every single dime of time it takes to watch this film. I think the ending, let's talk about the ending briefly. I do think the very, very end, right, where just before the credits, when the characters meet again after the adventures they've been on, it's a heartwarming end because it showcases that Jane can have this journey, can have this life, can have this, like, sort of joy, and not need to feel trapped in Monkey, so she can remove Monkey's head and still feel joy, still feel excitement, going, woo, woo, yeah, woo, yeah, woo, Pontoon, 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 and you get that feeling that they're excited. And spoiler warning here, just in case I say anything that might be a spoiler, I've given you a warning. Yeah. And I think that you sort of delve into that archive, you delve into the love, you delve into this, like, sort of feeling that he's remorsed of what he's done to get to where he's ended, but his character journey from start to finish is a nice redemption act, because obviously the mature themes that are in this film sort of add to the panic of she's worried about herself and he's giving up, not wanting to carry on. And I think having it so that she can lift his spirit, she can get him out of that mindset, get him out of that place, and they can live a fruitful life and know that people love and care for him, is such a powerful message to give. And I know that everything says that, but I think really this will help people. I think this will be one of those films where she'll get messages and messages and messages and messages going, that helped me through a difficult part of my life. I didn't know where I was going to be, and I think that's positive. I think that's beautiful, nice, and just a really integral part of what storytelling is, and especially when it's come from the mind of in Britain. And I think that that's what we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate that this is the type of thing that we do best. This is our success, and this is just gorgeous. I love this film with the bottom of my heart. I would say it's on par with The Ballis of Wallace Island. So if I had to rate this out of 10, I would give this a 10 out of 10. But The Ballis of Wallace Island, if I didn't give it a rating in that, I'll say 10 out of 10 for that as well. But overall, I think the film's gorgeous, beautiful, and just the characters are just developed so well. I don't think you can argue with how beautifully developed the characters are from start to finish. Sunlight's an incredible film. Sunlight is now available right now on Amazon Prime here in the UK. Don't know about internationally, but it is available elsewhere if you Google it. This has been Take Two the Film Club. Bye-bye!